One of the reasons why we called the meeting is we wanted to try and get people together to think about how we can work more closely together to try and give parents a more effective voice in the political sphere. Obviously, everybody has their different political allegiances, but if we can have one of the things that's happened to parents' organisations over the last 2 decades, partly as a result of academisation, is that parent-teacher associations have disappeared from the face of the earth in many places. They've been replaced by 1 or 2 nominated people. Parent governors networks have declined as well. So there is not a clear voice for parents nationally. So really one of the things I want people to start thinking about is how can we work together moving on from here, so that parents can have a more collective voice, and whether all the different sorts of organisations that we've got here can come together. So I'm trying to hope that we've got a draft statement that we're going to try and put in the chat. Someone is, I hope, and then we will. People can start talking and thinking about that, and there'll be a time for a discussion. So what I'm going to do is just for 5 or 10 minutes now, I thought if we could have a question and answer session and then bring back in other speakers in a moment, just so that people can have a break from having people talking at them and we can have some people asking questions. So if you want to ask a question, you need to use the little hand facility in the participants bar. You should, hopefully you'll know about that. You can put your hand up, and we'll just take some. Vicky will call people who've put their hands up for questions or contributions. Okay, I'll leave it to Vicky to call people. No, not happening.
I haven't got any hands up right now.
Right. Okay.
Oh, I saw a hand. Hold on. Where did it go? Tom, are you there?
Yeah, my internet's a bit shaky, so I hope this comes across. I suppose one's a point, which can be a question, and the other is a straight up question. I haven't got any figures on how much money the exam boards make, but there's this exam industrial complex at the minute. I only find them for 10 years ago, and they've gone out through the roof. I don't know what impact that has on them having a vested interest, if anyone can answer me that. And the other one is that the political time frame has absolutely shifted around so many issues, and we're in the midst of a sort of, I mean, some of these questions are immediate. My son is, going out of his mind at home. He's doing some things that he likes, but actually, there's a time frame now about stuff that needs to happen in the summer, and there's a time frame for September. And I think that, I suppose, what sort of time frame are we talking about in terms of feasibly getting something up and running where parents can really, across the country, start getting some resources together to use to harangue councils. Our council is putting on nothing for the summer holidays for a start. But where's the best focus for that, and what's the time frame, I suppose?
Do we want to take all the questions and then people come back and answer them? Is that the best way?
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. I'm had to switch from my computer to my mobile. Thanks for having this. And I got invited from someone who's in the community. And for me, it's about going back to the religious groups. I was watching something on last night, and it was talking about maths and English. And we know many people from the Black communities, migrants, refugees, etc. They struggle with English as another language. And we know that now, they talk about this dip in the summer. And all I'm hearing about is having these extra classes for those that are kind of more well-off, affluent, that have money. So I know that different local authorities will be doing different things. Now I live in Islington, and they're really great in terms of like the primary schools, etc. But in the secondary schools, we know that we have an issue there, especially being a Black person. I've had loads of Black parents from the African and Afro-Caribbean communities, because that's all I understand, and I can kind of articulate what they've told me. and their worry is the fact that their kids are going to be falling behind, especially the boys. And then that will then systemically affect them when they're hanging out in the local streets, nothing to do, etc. So I think if we could go back to local religious groups and ask them possibly to open up their doors and help us to put on some like sort of, you know, homework clubs or whatever, it could be summer camps that even some of us parents could actually volunteer to do. I think this is where the voluntary sector really needs to come into dividends. So myself, I work in education. So whether it's, you know, hearing kids read or doing simple maths, I don't think we can leave it to the political elite, especially those that don't recognize us or see us. And I think there needs to be a visibility for all parents, whether you're black or white, Muslim or Catholic, whatever you are, that we come together as a community. And I think that's how we kind of beat what's going to kind of hinder our children going forward, because we have the 2020 that kids that didn't graduate with GCSEs, because now it's all left to the teachers to give them their grades. And we know systemically black kids, because I'm black, making that very prominent, guys, I know that we don't often get graded the way we should be graded. I know that in my experience when I was growing up, I wasn't great at certain subjects and I was always marked down. And if we could find a way to kind of allow children, young people to articulate what they want to say, like whether it be more performing arts, and change the curriculum in terms of the testing. I think the Labour Party were really great in terms of radicalizing, is that the right word? To change how education is, that it helps us that can't write as well or read. I think that's something we need to kind of think about. And I think if you look at in Europe, how the kids start school at 7 and later, they have a lot more horticulture and outdoorsy stuff. And we don't have that for our kids now. And that's just want to share that with you guys, because a lot of parents in my block are very nervous and anxious, and then the kids are not going back to school. Thanks for letting me speak.
I've got Judy next. Can you unmute yourself, Judy?
I can. It's just a little question or point, really. I'm a reception teacher, so I've had my children in this week. I've got a son in year 10, so he's been in for a few interviews and whatnots. I teach in Tower Hamlets in Whitechapel, where most of my children and quite a lot of the educators are of a Bengali heritage. And a lot of the reports are now saying what a high risk there is to that community from COVID. So I think we still need to be very aware of these questions of safety when we're talking about a wider return to schools. But I'm also terrified when I hear the government's announcement today, because it's all framed around catching up. And as so many people say, catching up with what? We need to start with our children and our children's well-being and what our individual children need. And people have quite rightly emphasised the question of racism. And this is fantastically urgent, isn't it? Because not one more child should be excluded, should be labelled, should be made to feel alienated or inadequate or less valued or worthy than any other child. And we can't let it happen anymore, because children don't fail. We fail them. Our education system fails children all the time. And actually, it's not just racism, is it? Because actually white working class boys do quite badly out of the system as well. The whole education system needs to be reframed. And we can't be dragged back to school with longer working days and private tutors and all these things to cram our children to fit some kind of standard that Boris Johnson or Michael Gove with his frontal adverbials and whatever has dreamt up. So I think that initiatives like this that unite parents and teachers and members of the community to fight for a better education system. In Tower Hamlets, I know Alex is on the call. We had, I think, 600 parents at our meeting about not going back. There's a real potential there for us to organise, and we have agency and our children have agency, and we've got to fight to make sure it's a better education system for them.
Thank you, Judy. I've just got one more, Magdalena.
Hello, everybody. Yes.
Hello.
I'm a teacher, a mental health researcher, and angry parent and foster parent. So my question is, and also a community leader, I recently started joining the community of London Mums, which we have 30,000 people. And I designed a questionnaire lately because I was angry that nobody's asking kids how they are doing. And they learn a lot of life skills, and it's not that lockdown is only negative. So as a part of my questionnaire, I wanted to start approaching other community leaders, because there are loads of parenting groups all over Facebook, and this could, as I join this call right now, this could be good for the future cooperation. So my question is, if I start approaching those the admins of the parenting groups, what do we do next? Is there like another call, or that's more question for Alistair and Vicky?
Ah.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Magdalena. That's a great question. It's something that we need to come back to and think about during the course of the rest of this meeting. I'm going to bring back the other speakers now.